Welcome to the world of Street Fighter 3. Prepare for battle.
One box could leave you messed up and fractured. Block these uppercuts, they may leave you captured. May the best fighter win and win again. Battle to the top until his life ends. But if his life ends and he starts to decay, may one of his street soldiers avenge things.
See you talking to the game, couldn't be talking to me. I got enough to beat and more soldiers to bury. You know we just clicked in and made you realize this game is twice as hard. You see that with your own eyes.
You're on the way to choose your type of life, cause you gotta. I tell you from now, which fighter will be the hotter. I don't think you want this one, just practice. Just challenge me when you're ready with your tactics. High punch, the spin kicks, watch your back split. I see you in the air when I make you back flip.
Let's get it on down. Select to make your first pick. Let's get it on down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Let's get it on down. Choose and pick the best one. Let's get it on down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it on down. Select to make your first pick. Let's get it on down. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. Let's get it on down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Select to make your first pick. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. Choose and pick the best one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
One box could leave you messed up and fractured. Block these uppercuts, they may leave you captured. May the best fighter win and win again. Battle to the top until his life ends. But if his life ends and he starts to decay, may one of his street soldiers avenge things.
See you talking to the game, couldn't be talking to me. I got enough to beat and more soldiers to bury. You know we just clicked in and made you realize this game is twice as hard. You see that with your own eyes.
You're on the way to choose your type of life, cause you gotta. I tell you from now, which fighter will be the hotter. I don't think you want this one, just practice. Just challenge me when you're ready with your tactics. High punch, the spin kicks, watch your back split. I see you in the air when I make you back flip.
Let's get it on down. Select to make your first pick.
Yo, what is up, internet? It is your headmaster here at the Gaming Academy, GQAzndood, back with another episode of Gaming Academy. It is November 18th, 2025. It is getting chilly out here. I am bundled up in the Academy custodian closet. That's where all the headmasters start their careers, in the custodian closet here at the Gaming Academy and the stock room. So yeah, hope you guys had a great weekend since the last time we chat. We are back with another awesome episode. It's Tuesday night, 8 p.m., and that means it's time for Class 53. And tonight's theme is a big one. What do I mean by that? Well, the overarching theme for this season is getting to the next level. So speaking of, get your welcome to the next class shirt here that I'll show you in a second. But tonight, the tutorial is over. That's right. If it's your first time here, I'm your headmaster GQAzndood, joined by our professor Blazing Ace Nelson and our dean of news, tragically late. Sorry, I can't read tonight. We've stacked the syllabus tonight. Now we got, as always, Memory Card Chronicles replacing This Week in Gaming History, where we revisit 7 days of gaming history with our personal stories and nostalgic highlights. Tonight we'll also be doing a new segment called RETRO-spective, our brand new once-a-month segment where we spotlight a developer, publisher, or industry-defining moment that changed gaming forever. Now, this month, Nick's going to kick off our very first retrospective with a new look into Westwood Studios, a team that helped shape an entire genre and left a legacy still felt today. Of course, we'll have the quick bites cross rumor mill, breaking down the biggest headlines and the wildest gaming whispers of the week, including The Tech, where Ace returns with another masterclass building on last week's fundamentals and teaching us the next step in developing mastery. And finally, of course, how can you forget the final boss, where we close the night with a cinematic motivational lesson to take into your week. So grab your snacks, grab your controllers, and settle in. Class 53 begins now. And remember, the tutorial is officially over. Of course, it's I don't do this by myself, so let's pop into professors over here and let's see how things are coming along. Hey, fellas.
Hey, sup? Professor's feeling cold. Got to put on the big old hoodie today.
Yeah, I'm cold in the stock room. So.
Meanwhile, my place was actually getting toasty, so I had to bust out one of the fans.
Yeah, that means you probably changed those batteries in that fire alarm, right? You want to get it too toasty.
Well, fire's starting up in your house.
Oh Lord.
I haven't heard it yet. We're good, staff.
Andre Man 95 yo. Funny enough, I was watching Zoid's Chaotic Century. All right.
Awesome.
Zoid, that's one I haven't heard in a while. But yeah, guys, a lot of good stuff tonight. Anything aside from the usual? Anything interesting happened over the week for you?
My birthday.
Oh, happy birthday!
Yo, happy birthday.
How young are you now?
I'm 21 again.
Oh, wow. Times two.
It's 21 times 2 twice over.
Where were you when you turned 21, Ace? Do you remember?
Let's see. So that would be what, 2000? Oh, well, it was 2000. Yeah, it was.
That almost Y2K 21 run. How was that?
Yeah. Well, let's see, 2004. I was in college trying to put together my own curriculum for what should have been, actually getting me into game design, back when the art institutes were still a thing.
Oh yeah, like full. Is Full Sail still around? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Full Sail still around. Full Sail and Phoenix University.
Oh yeah, Phoenix University. I love that.
But AI done went the way of the dodo.
Well, I mean, isn't there another DigiPen? From what I read.
Yeah, DigiPen locally, but also some of the like big universities started including more game development, actual curriculum, like on campuses, not just like specific ones. I know the Western up here had some game dev stuff. I want to say when I went back to school, but it didn't when I first went there.
Yeah. It's definitely gone more mainstream. I've seen a lot more video game related like careers and ads, stuff like that. I mean, I've seen like, hey, you want to start your career in game development? I don't think I've ever seen that when I was a kid. So that's kind of crazy how times have changed, So.
Yep, we could get connected for free with Education Connection and finally start getting into game dev.
All right. Well, it is what it is, and time passes, and that's why we will always have the memories. And speaking of, we'll have our next segment here called Memory Card Chronicles, and this is the segment of the show where we talk about game releases that happen throughout the course of the week and our core memories behind them. So let's load this up and boot it up.
Great way.
Oh yeah, beautiful. All right, it's not Marvel.
That's all right. I was going to say this is a great way to like warm up too, and chat. Feel free to hop in with your memories.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see here. So we're going to be starting off 11/16, so November 16. Oh yeah, let me start it off. I have a real quick one here. This one is from. Here, I'll pop it off here. So my core memory is little game here from Need for Speed, Hot Pursuit, and this was actually the one version. Well, I think this was a remake because Hot Pursuit came out like the PC, like the 90s. I think this was remade into like Racers versus Police, and ultimately why this is a core memory for me was I kind of like the idea of like cops versus racers, like that was like not really a thing, and so if you guys like that kind of like that thrill where you can pick team racer or team cop, where you can pull over your friends and stop them, bust them is what I call it. This one should be a good pickup for you. I don't know if it's been remade on the newer gen consoles, but also at the same time, my core memory of this, it was actually a negative one, just because this was one of the first games that started the conversation of, do I pay $45 to unlock every car? Or do I just play the game to unlock each car? And I remember this game having that option first. One of the first games to have that option where you unlock everything if you pay an extra $40 or something along those lines. That's just a memory that I've associated with this game. So
yeah, I remember this standing out because of that mode, because the OG one was like a PSX title. They did do a remaster of this as well. I want to say in like 2010. I really remember like Most Wanted. That was like a successor to this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember this one coming out.
Yeah, that was the big thing for me. It was just like you get to be the police or the bracer. So pretty cool. Yeah, that's about it. That's about it for me. Let's see here. Like this link. Oh, you did it all weird. All right, it's all good. I got you. All right, whose is this one?
Man, one guess, right?
wonder.
I wonder. Hopium is high, boys. Maybe one day we'll get Half-Life 3. Remember last week we were talking about all the crazy buzz about it. Right now, the Half-Life subreddit is still going rapidly back and forth between Hopium and Nopium right now about it
Mhm.
actually happening, if it's going to be announced. But I am highlighting Half-Life 2 2004. Still one of my favorite games of all time, and I think one of the best games ever made. Um, it really stands alone for me. I really wanted to highlight this because I've done it before. I've talked about it on this podcast with you guys, but I mean, I've replayed this multiple times, and it really just goes to show that to this day, there's still things I really, really enjoy about it, and it still stands out. A lot of it being the world building, and the fact that when I jump back in, it just still feels so lived in and so immersive, despite its age. Because it's a while, and it's 21 years now since it's released. And it's still up there on best of lists for a lot of people. Ace, did you ever end up playing too?
A little bit, but didn't really get into it.
Yep, fair enough. That's
Fair
my
enough.
call out for the November 16th.
All right.
Shout out to r/Half-Life. Maybe this is the third time I brought it up. Maybe that confirms it. I don't know.
Oh, man. You Half-Life fans are wild, so I gotta say.
Yeah.
All right, I see a big fist on the screen. What's this one about?
Speaking of 3,
Of course, this is the one I picked. But yeah, my call out for the 16th is one of the classics. Like the Budokai series was the anime arena fighter that really kind of opened the genre up, right? But Budokai 3 especially, because it took everything that 2 did as far as refining the system, and then just like further expanded on that with a much larger roster and some streamlining of some of the moves and how you use the capsules to you know to for character progression. But Budokai 2 and 3 still remain actually 2 of my favorite fighting games on the PS2. If you get the chance to talk to Thomas Duder about it, ask him about the Piccolo incident.
Oh no! Mine is who the fuck is Nail? that's my.
Ask him about the
incident.
Piccolo incident,
I don't know if I
and
want to
I got a
ask him.
present for you.
Like knowing Duder, that just seems like a really. That's not a sentence I want to ask him about. Almost sounds like the pickle incident. It's like,
Cool. Yeah, I do remember just playing this game at my buddy's place, like, and this is the one that had like the rock paper scissors like clashing, right?
Mhm.
Okay, or mashing, one of those two. I remember that.
It actually incorporated both.
Okay, yeah, I just remember it being really fun from what went down.
and I remember it having like a decent roster too, and like pulling in some GT characters.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 3 was like the epitome of that. I think Tenkaichi was like the other version, but here's a game that I want to see come back. This one's not mine, but yeah, I do want to see this come back.
Nah, this one's mine. I wanted to call out this one because it was one of the games I played on Xbox, and I did not care for stealth games. I still don't. Stealth games are not my jam. But I remember playing this, and just like the methodical approach that this game had, especially with like light and sound mechanics as well, you had
Yeah.
to pay attention to. I mean, all of that set in a strong, like super realistic atmosphere, really grounded with its story, like Tom Clancy kind of story. And this thing spawned an entire series. So I felt like this was something on the 17th in the past that is worth shouting out. This game. Hey, Splinter Cell, happy birthday! And why can't we get another game?
Heck yeah. I mean, funny enough, I've actually been like taking a look at some old clips like over the course of this past week from Splinter Cell Conviction. And I'm just sitting here like, brother, we need to get Michael Ironside more work.
Right. Yeah, I mean, not only his voice, but like each game had its little something that it did that was a little bit different. And it was really cool that they did some different iterative stuff. Like the one where you can play like you're Sam Fisher, you're like trying to go undercover in jail and you have to walk that line between good cop, undercover cop kind of thing. I thought that was really good. God, there was some of the later ones too got more actiony, but yeah, no, this one started it all, man. And there's a lot of rumors about potentially what X Defiant became was a Splinter Cell game. That was something that was in the rumor mill this last week, but one of the devs that worked on it said that wasn't the case. So
Oh.
still no clue where Splinter Cell is or when.
I always considered, since this came out on the Xbox first, right? Or it was a more feature on the Xbox. I always thought it was the Metal Gear version of the Xbox, right? Like that's what
Yeah, that kind of felt like what it was. At least to me, that was the same thing. Like when because I owned the Xbox first, like that's what I focused on, was like that on the Xbox. But yeah,
right on. Another thing came out on the 17th. I think we chatted about this last time.
Yep. Boom. That thing right there.
This is the third version of it, right? I think. Yeah, it's the third version of it.
Mhm.
The slimmest version. So 2006, PlayStation 3, right, came out in US by storm.
Yeah, and just for me, as well as I think for at least a good 75, maybe 80% of the player base, the PS3 was my first Blu-ray player.
I think it's a lot of people. I agree with that.
But I mean, it's just the simple fact that the PS3 really was like a quantum surge in, you know, the actual media that you play video games on. It went from the cartridges, 8-bit, 16, 32, 64, then it goes to the CD-ROM, then you hit the DVD with the PlayStation 2, and now, boom, you're on the PS3, you got Blu-ray technology, but on top of that, you also have one of the most well-known data breaches in recent history.
Yeah, that wasn't a good memory for anybody. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't really affected by it. Hopefully a lot of people weren't also, but yeah,
Oh,
it's
like I didn't really do much online at that point anyway, so it was great for me because when I finally got my own PS3, I got to take advantage of the benefits of the compensation from that. So I got Little Big Planet and Infamous for free.
Oh, that's right. They gave us free games. As like I apologize.
Yep.
I remember that. I love how we can get bought out by just free stuff. It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. All right. You know what else is a beautiful thing? On the 18th, this wonder also got released into the world in 2001.
Look at that. Look at that.
GameCube. The Indigo Purple, was it Indigo Purple? Indigo Blue. I can't remember what they labeled it as.
Mhm.
Was always like a weird choice for me, especially like we kind of had that gray, like the drab gray, like Nintendo, right? Then the Famicom, and then like the Super Nintendo with the purple. So I see where that's coming from. 64 was like pretty much black originally. Then it kind of went this odd color. And I was always like, "Oh, that's a choice." Like, I don't know what's the deal with that. Wasn't a fan of the controller because I think the 64 gave me a bad taste when it came to Nintendo controllers. But memory for this, man, this thing was bet. I was a PlayStation 2 fan. This thing is way cooler than the PS2. One, you can hold it and carry it wherever you go. It's really convenient.
yeah. You want to talk about the first portable Nintendo system as
Yeah.
an intellectual? It is the system with a handle on it, my friends.
Absolutely. And I think the only thing that would be missing, if you were able to put the cords inside this bad boy, like a storage, that would have been a perfect like portable saving time portable thing. 4 controller ports, always a banger with me. You're always gonna win me over with 4 controller ports. And also they made games the fidelity wise better than the PS2. It was arguably a better console graphically than the PS2. But it just comes down to novelty at this point. Like, what kind of games do you play, right?
Yeah. This is one of those systems, like the whole reason they chose Indigo was to be different from the like more serious black consoles on PS2 and Xbox, like what they have.
Yeah.
Purple is also like Game Boy Advance was the same color too. So they were trying to rock with
Okay.
the same kind of
Right.
like
Yeah.
thing there.
Understood.
And if I remember right, like it was the decision of Nintendo of Japan to make it that color because purple's also more fun and also considered like the color of royalty, I want to say, in Japan,
Yeah.
if I remember right.
No,
So
that makes sense.
there was a lot of like little reasons, but really was just kind of differentiate it and make it more fun, which honestly, looking back,
Yeah, that makes sense.
right? Honestly, looking back, like that was the whole thing about GameCube. It didn't have a huge library. It had like a fraction of the library compared to the other two consoles by the end of its lifetime. But it had some certifiable bangers, like you were saying. Games that whenever you went to like tournaments or stuff when we were holding them
God,
at the
yes.
store or to parties, like this had Smash Brothers, had Mario Party. Like there was way more party games and more, I want to say, community around it.
Yeah.
Even though I didn't have my GameCube for long, I much preferred my Xbox and eventually the games on PS2 just from sheer library. But yeah, man, the Cube it's got its place in history for sure.
Yeah, it's underrated, 100%.
And even the single player offerings on it were just like what the PS2 had in quantity and a good chunk of quality. GameCube had in quality, but it was more focused on that smaller roster. Because I mean, you got stuff like Eternal Darkness, you got
Unique.
Tales of Symphonia,
Very unique games as well.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, unique is its kind of calling card, not just the like handle, which it got dunked on for the longest time because it looked like a purse. People kept saying, like the little mini disc, the proprietary disc that they had for it, the fact you couldn't play DVDs or anything on it, like it was built just as like that game console for fun.
To be honest with you, I like the mini discs. I thought they were cool. Matter of fact, they should have leaned on it way harder, like Japan, where the cases were smaller too. Like I really like that. I like the fact that it is smaller and tiny, and it shouldn't match with the other ones, right? So I felt like that was the route they should have taken with
What's the little engine that could.
And well, that is history. So Nintendo, hear us out, bro. Come on now.
Oh, they've leaned so hard into a lot of those titles.
Yeah. Talk about leading hard. And what about this game? Who picked this?
That was our boy who couldn't make it tonight.
No Shoes. That's right. Shout out to No Shoes, by the way. He was gonna be here tonight, but couldn't make it. He wasn't feeling well. So he did say like he wants to come back and kind of like hang out with us. But so I'm gonna just read what he wrote here. He was excited for this one. He loved the third one. But this one let him down. And he didn't get to beating it until 2021.
That was the same for a lot of people.
I haven't played this one. No, actually, I think I skipped this one. I went straight to, which is the weird, like, the one in Montana or whatever it is.
That's 5.
That's 5? Oh, I played that one.
Yeah, 5 is probably one of my favorites, still to this day. But I remember playing 4, same as him. 3 was so peak for a lot of people. It did a lot of things, like the writing in it, especially like the villain writing in it.
Right? Yeah.
It was really hard to live up to it. Plus, one of my favorite DLCs ever made was Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Like that game just had so much going for it, and I don't think 4 quite lived up. They did more things, they did different things for sure, but I can see why a lot of people would have been disappointed in it after playing 3.
I would appreciate a remake of Blood Dragon. That'd be kind of cool.
I don't
a sequel.
play Far Cry, but I dipped my toe in for Blood Dragon.
That's how you get them. You got to get the aesthetic right. And speaking of remaster and getting aesthetic right, when was the last time we had a Road Rash like game?
Oh my god.
Man, I don't know the Road Rash like the last one besides like anything you find on a browser game nowadays. Man, I told you how much I loved Skitchin on Genesis. I played Road Rash.
That was your jam, bro.
That was, man. This like I was sold on this because of the name. It just sounded awesome when you were just like a tiny kid. And then the cover where you're just like beating each other on these like motorbikes, right? You could take pipes and chains and like knock other people off it. It was just like what you weren't allowed to do, and as a kid especially, I don't know, man, it was just I wasn't allowed to play because my parents thought it was like too bad to play, because I mean it's like illegal racing, it's violent, right?
It's like real-ish.
Yeah, it's real-ish, and it's just the fact it's called Road Rash.
I love the fact your parents were like, you can't play Road Rash, but my parents were like, you can't play Duke Nukem 3D.
Yeah, I mean my parents let me have Duke Nukem 3D. I don't think they knew what it was.
Oh, okay. So
and that just goes to show, man, like how different it is nowadays for parents, especially me being a parent now and like knowing games and just like you won't exactly know by looking at the title of some of those older games, but like now I can piecemeal it. My parents could
Like you
not.
have experience, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the only closest game I can find that's like Road Rash, similar, adjacent. Road Rage. How about that? So this one is not like a racing game though. I think it is partial racing, but it is like a map that you go around. You road rage it up like this. So I'm assuming they kind of like made this to honor Road Rash, but not related whatsoever.
How about this cover for this one that came out?
Oh boy,
Road Rash
you know what this looks
Jailbreak.
like? This looks like a sequel or something to Full Throttle, like an offshoot.
I
What
mean,
is this game, bro?
I think it predates it. That one was a. It was it was on the PlayStation with a handheld port that also went to the Game Boy Advance. It has an interconnected road system and two-player cooperative play with a sidecar.
I just think it's funny that like this is the last memory we've had of Road Rash, but we had really good memories with the, the original. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like,
I mean,
what
the
was the-
original 2 and 3, like especially 3, I remember playing just because that one had like more like international locales you can go to. So I remember playing that a lot as a kid. But yeah, man, the last like Road Rash were like 2009 or something, and that was like a mobile one or something. Yeah, I miss it.
Surprised. Here's a game that do you remember playing as a kid? How about that one? Tell us more about this,
Yes.
this monstrosity.
Oh, okay. So, if y'all have been seeing the memes around about Pepsi Man, well, look, Sneak King is the Sam Fisher to Pepsi Man's Solid Snake.
Oh,
I hate all that.
But this was definitely at that point where pop culture game tie-ins were still a thing, and Sneak King. Honestly, this game legit took me by surprise because it was like, yo, this game actually does stealth kind of nice. And your only objective is just to basically recreate the old Burger King commercials where the king would just show up, pop out of random shit, Majima Everywhere style, and hand people burgers.
This photobomb people.
Right? Just photobombing you with food.
It's how we talk about how like expensive to make, like in this current age, but then they make shit like this back in the day. So it's like, did they have extra money just lying around, or were they just like, no, people funded this? Like, what the heck?
Yeah,
And
Burger King funded this, and the trio of games that they came out with, including this one, were way better than they had any right to be.
right?
yeah. What was the other game? The racing one?
It was Pocket Bike Racers, Sneak King, and then oh shoot, what was the last one?
There's 3.
I thought I remember there being 3, right?
I'm pretty sure there was 3.
All I know is like if you know what would be fun if like this day and age, like you go to Burger King and you get a little sticker, you get this as DLC for your favorite platform. It'd be cool.
What personally, what
Big
I would like
bumpin'.
to see, what I would like to see is just like something as far as like a new fast food mascot game with the king, with Jack from Jack in the Box, Wendy, Ronald.
Didn't someone do like a mock-up online of like a fighting game where you got to play the mascots?
Yep.
Probably based off like Terrordrome, but I don't remember.
The way you sold it, those
Or even better, base it off of something like Wu-Tang Shaolin style.
Oh, that'd be so fun. I think that'd be so fun.
The flourish.
Yeah, I mean, you even get to do like little flourishes when you hand him the burger. It's just
This man's walk, bro.
it is peak absurdity. But like games like Rumble Roses and Dead or Alive Extreme Beach Volleyball, Under the Hood, Sneak King was actually really fucking solid. And it, like Andre said, it did not take itself seriously at all.
Now would be like, how do we make money off Sneak King? That's like today's day and age.
Oh no, it'd be tied to an app for Burger King, so you can
Oh
actually
yeah,
buy stuff or get money off by achievements.
you're right. You're right. Why did I think of any less?
Oh right.
Here's a game that I wanted to come back in its original form because now it's been reduced to a hero shooter. Ugh. Um, so my core memory of Rainbow Six Vegas was actually watching a buddy playing on his 360, and I thought, oh, cool! It's like a more down to earth version of Advanced Warfighter, right? It's more tactical. It's slower. It's what Rainbow Six originally was on PC, where you like check your corners and like you like time your shots to like you're stealthily like breaching and stuff like that. This did it really well. Like this was the first time like I kind of like really appreciated Rainbow Six. I didn't really appreciate it like when it was first person, but when it was third person, I was like, this is so cool, so much cooler. Also, one of the first games that like made me like rappel through a window and crash through a window.
That's dope.
Yeah, because when I was younger, I had played a game on the Nintendo called Rescue: The Embassy Mission,
Ooh.
right? And it's funny because the artwork is just doing that exactly.
Right.
Nick, if you could find gameplay, I can show you why this gave me PTSD for this game.
Of Rescue or Rainbow Six?
Rescue, yeah. So when I played Rainbow Six, it reminded me of this game and how much I enjoyed this game. Right. So, and that's kind of like how like, oh, it's like a modern day version of that game I used to play. Also, Rescue, Rainbow Six kind of sounds similar, right? So let me show this to you guys. So this is you plotting out your entry. So the whole point of this is to get into the embassy and rescue the hostages. I like how that guy looks like Cobra Commander. So this one is like you just have to avoid the spotlight and you get to hide in these bushes or the on the doorway so you don't get caught. And then like once you make it past this stage, the game changes to like a third person shooter, right? So like it's like dynamic. And for a Nintendo game, this is like a big deal. Like this is something that's like very unique. So he like Mike made it into position. Now like he gets to play the sniper for you. Like he'll get to cover you. Go ahead and like skip forward a little bit to like another section. And then
There we go.
Yeah, these guys are coming in from the top. Very
that little cinematic of the dudes just repelling from the chopper.
Yeah, see that how they're all like put in position. Now this guy's gonna.
Oh, that is badass.
Now you know why I love Rainbow Six Vegas, because like this was like a core memory of me. Since we're talking about Memory Card Chronicles, I was like, wow, it's this game, but like modernized.
Dude, I never played this game. I've seen the box art. I've seen. I've seen the box in the stores, but I've never played this. But I feel like I'm having a core memory from it.
Go ahead and fast forward to like them breaching inside.
This is cool as hell.
Yeah, for a Nintendo game, this is it right. See this? They're going door to door.
Breach.
Boom! Let's go. Door to door. Yep, and he's gonna be peeked room to room, clearing it. Like for a Nintendo game, this is awesome. Look at that. Like this is peak Nintendo. They're maxing out the Nintendo's capabilities.
I honestly can see why you make that connection and how this has like early DNA to Rainbow Six.
Yes,
because I didn't play Vegas 1. I played the hell out of Vegas 2. Mm-hmm. I'd have a lot of memories, a lot of really good gaming memories and friendship memories because of Vegas 2. So, and I could see just some of the basics just in this. That's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
It reminds me of like the SWAT games on PC as well, like the tactical part.
It's like the skeleton of Rainbow Six, right? And I'd be curious if you found out like if that was their inspiration for that. That'd be kind of fun. But yeah,
that is so dope.
Speaking of inspiration, this next game here is composed of ex-Street Fighter employees. That's inspiring. So Ace, tell us a little bit more about that.
Mm-hmm.
What's your memory with this?
I feel like this right here would be what started it all for SNK. The OG Fatal Fury. Like, again, just like GQ mentioned, this one was developed by, a team of, ex-Capcom devs. So, a lot of the DNA for Fatal Fury, takes similarities from Street Fighter. But, instead of, going with the classic, Masoyama style traditional martial artist for your main character, you've got them going more towards the quintessential American, late 80s, early 90s action hero.
It's true. What's your I guess like what's your
But-
first experience with Fatal Fury?
My first experience with Fatal Fury was actually playing it in the arcade at one of the bowling alleys while I was back out in San Bernardino as a kid. But I eventually got my hands on the Super Nintendo version, and it's still, even on the Super NES, it still felt like it was pretty close to a 1-to-1 arcade translation. And it was one of the few that, that had actually gotten that close to me, between that and, of course, Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, I think this was the only this was like the Street Fighter like competitor. And the unique thing about it was like the 2 lanes, right? Like that was different for that. I still felt Street Fighter played a little bit better, but my memory of this is similar to yours. I played it at a roller skating rink, and I kept hearing Terry Bogard's and I'll quote Marie. Like, that's what he sounded like. And I was like, "What is that?" And I go over there. I'm like, "Oh, this is pretty cool." Did you ever experience Fatal Fury in the arcade, Nick?
No, not in the arcade. I mean, looking at the gameplay and stuff, it reminds me a lot of just like the SNK cabs when I was younger. And I've mentioned this before, but the SNK cabs around me when I was this age were more like Baseball Stars and Sam Show and stuff like that. We didn't really have Fatal Fury.
Oh, okay, right on. All right, so let's see here. This is something I talk about every year. Right? Every year. The SNES, the greatest console of all time. The question is asked:
Okay.
if you ever were put on an island and you had one choice of a console, which console would it be? And I'd be like, hopefully it's a radio console so I can call for help. Ultimately, the Super Nintendo to me has the best library, in my opinion. And also it doesn't you don't need excessive extra accessories to play the majority of the library of Super Nintendo. You don't need add-ons or anything like that. Even if you just had the Nintendo made games, you'd still have a solid variety of games, right? But I think the Super Nintendo is really where all the companies shined. Core memory, like I said, Christmas time, Dad tricked me that he didn't get it. He didn't buy one. And he said, "Hey, by the way, I got you a Super Nintendo." That was super cool. Like that, I'll never forget that. And he also got me Final Fight with it, which is like that. No wonder why I'm so fond of beat 'em ups. What about you guys?
For me, most of my defining memories, most of my core memories with the Super NES all come from the numerous RPGs I've played on it. Namely Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, Illusion of Gaia. But as far as like my first major memory with it, Christmas, spending Christmas with my uncle and my cousins, and he got them the Super NES with Donkey Kong Country.
I love that. Here's one, and Nick, this one's yours, and I'm curious to because I wasn't a 64 guy, but was the first print always the collector's edition to this game?
I don't know if all the first print was. That's a great question. It's been such a long time. I remember that I didn't have one of the special collector's carts. I had just the normal cart. But I wanted to call out this one because this one is still my favorite in the entire franchise to this date. And it's one of my favorite games ever, and one of my favorite games that defined the 64 outside of like GoldenEye and 1080 snowboarding, because that was the first game I had for it, and like Mario Kart. This was the one I've replayed probably 8 or 9 times by this point. I literally bought a 3DS just to play the like Majora's Mask 3DS as well. Like I wanted to continue the story. That's why I bought Majora's Mask afterwards. But this one of my favorite like childhood memories, and I wouldn't even say childhood because I was definitely older by that point. This was like middle school, early high school. So formative years, right? I remember going over to a friend's house, staying the night, staying up late. Parents were, it was a weekend night. His parents were up late too, watching TV in the other side of their house. They had a big ass house, much bigger than mine. So it's like, oh, we could actually hang out over here, just us. We were playing Ocarina of Time on my buddy's save and just like heating up pizza rolls, drinking Dr. Pepper, like staying up late. My parents were going to tell us we couldn't play it. We stopped playing Driver on the PS1. We put an Ocarina of Time so I could help him hunt all the Skulltulas
Yes.
in the game. because he didn't have all of them. He was still unlocking stuff by that point. And I knew where a fair amount of them were. We also ended up like
So cool.
finding his brother's like Nintendo guide somewhere in the house too. We were just going through it. But yeah, it's still brings a lot of memories back, a lot of really positive memories. And like I said, still to this day, it holds a special place in my heart, even if there's plenty of games since then in the Zelda series that have done better. I mean, to be honest, the entire reason I wanted to play Tears of the Kingdom was because of how familiar it felt with Ocarina, like playing through it. I saw a buddy play Tears for like a couple hours, and I'm like, I think I might need to get a Switch just for this. Especially when you like run over to the crumbling ruins of the Temple of Time, and I'm just like, oh man, core memories. I remember all the Ocarina like music, and the I think it was the Song of Rain was my favorite too. I was never one of those people that bought an Ocarina or played it, but part of me really wanted to.
You really wanted the shield and the Master Sword, right?
Of course.
Yeah, I just thought this was like, when I saw Mario 64, I was like, dude, just wait until they release a Zelda game. It's gonna look really good, for this console. So this was it right here. So that was kind of my take on that. I'm glad that's a good memory. I love the fact that like our memories is like playing it with friends, because that's a really cool memory. Speaking of playing with friends, this came out in 2013.
Yeah.
I think, and having one of my favorite fighting games come back to a modern day console. I literally just got an Xbox just to get this game, and that's like I called it my Killer Instinct machine, my Xbox One, because I wasn't playing.
I remember that. I remember you saying that.
Yeah, and I went out of my way to hunt down 2 fight sticks that have KI on it, that has Saber Wolf on it. Matter of fact, I think it's here somewhere. But like I specifically wanted to turn it into a KI machine. If there was like stickers for me to turn my Xbox into a KI machine, I would too. Yeah, I'm just glad this game came out, and I'm really hunting or waiting, yearning, whatever words you want to use for KI2. But I don't even know where to start with that. Like I know it's like it's going to be a uphill battle, to get that released.
Yeah.
Man, what a great soundtrack too.
Awesome soundtrack. This is where we get this from. That's the end of TJ Combo's theme at the end of the game. So pretty cool. But Ace.
But yeah, I mean it's funny, but at the same time shouldn't be surprising that both you and I actually picked Killer Instinct for this day. I mean, heck, back when the Xbox One came out, like Killer Instinct 1 was the only game I had played for it, and it's like, if I do pick up an Xbox One, I want to make sure I get it. But eventually, KI hit Steam.
Yeah.
There you go. And I'm so glad I was able to pick it up then, because it was pretty much the complete edition. So it was like everything from seasons 1, 2, and 3. Yep. And the dope part was that it felt like this new KI actually retold the story of the original Killer Instinct 1 and 2. And then expanded on that with certain other characters like Arya. And then, let's see, like Arya, Kanra, Omen. And the guest characters that were added to it. This is one of the few times where I could say guest characters being added to a fighting game does not dilute the identity of the game itself.
I think it leans into it.
It really does. I mean, come on, bringing in one of the Battletoads.
Also,
KI.
Chat, just if you want a really inexpensive fighting game that's very robust and like it feels good to play, Killer Instinct's one of them. Just take our word for it. It's less than $20, right? I think there's a free version where you get one character for free that rotates every week, right? I don't know if that's still a thing, but yeah, check it out when you guys get a chance. Nick, you got to tell me, man, does this game have VR? Because I feel like it should.
They did release a VR version.
Ooh,
word?
On Meta or what? Where's it at? What platform?
Quest VR.
Okay, yeah, this is a game that needs to be VR, and
yeah,
I actually like this game a lot.
Yeah, I think it's actually a game that was way ahead of its time. It was meant for VR after playing the VR version. Buddy of mine had a Quest. I borrowed it just because I wanted to play Res Infinite, which was the VR version of this one. But I wanted to call out this one, man, because this was a unique game. Wireframe, action shooter. Honestly, it sold me with its premise and like the really cool soundtrack. I loved the music on this every time I saw it booted up. Super unique visuals, great music, and you're basically hacking the system. So it's like you get to be a hacker in this really cool thing, and you get this great music too. It's like I was living my Matrix Underground kind of like vibes way before I knew
Yes.
like much more about it when I played this game. But yeah, the VR version's actually pretty sick too. So yeah, man, music rail shooters, very unique, very weird, very out there, esoteric kind of thing. But I just remember loving it back in the day. And every time I got to test a PS2 or a PS2 disc, because I think this was one of the blueback discs that we had to
Oh, it was
test.
still CD. Yeah.
Yeah, if I remember right, it was a blueback disc. So whenever you test a PS2, for those who don't know, you have to test 4 disc types to make sure the lenses read all 4.
Yeah. It's
So this was
dope.
one of the ones I put in. If we didn't have it, I'd find a different one. But this is one of my favorite to put on.
That's a good trivia question. Like which color matches which format on the PS3 disc or PS2?
Which is a trick question too, because 2 of them are clear. Because there was the basic CD one, which was the blue back. There was DVD. Then there was dual layer DVD, which were both clear. Games like Gran Turismo 4, if I remember right, was a dual layer disc, so it was like extra density. And then, of
Yeah.
course, you'd have to watch or be able to read the black PSX discs as well.
Yeah, Snake Eater, I think I think when they started doing dual layer DVD, they started looking goldish, right?
Look like a hue to it, yeah.
Yeah, because Snake Eater is one of them as well. So
Yeah, Snake Eater, and I think, which is probably why it's been so tough to emulate up until recently, but Valkyrie Profile 2 is also a dual layer.
Oh yeah, and it's also one of the last PS2 game released, so that explains that. So yeah, and then I think they just started doing dual layer DVD to make sure everything fits instead of like putting it on 2 discs.
Yep.
So anyway, hey, Core Memories, awesome. And then your game doesn't load up. You're like, fuck.
Disc is unreadable. Pops
Oh,
up.
Where it just boots to the BIOS screen.
Yeah.
And it's just
God,
that's the PS2 logo. That's the PS2 one. PS1 was you're at the CD screen, like playing. You're like,
oh
what
yeah, it's
the
like
hell
you're
is
trying
this?
to play a music CD.
Yeah.
It's like no.
All right, moving on to our next segment here. A little bit of quick bites. Take her away, Nick.
Oh man, quick bites. That came up quick. No pun intended. Another week in the books, boys and any gals on the screen. We've got more quick bites for this week. I'll make it as quick as possible because we have a lot of talking to do tonight. If you didn't hear, Game Awards 2025 have just announced all their nominees for this year's event. I won't go through the entire list. There's some notable ones, some really interesting things coming up here shortly. I mean, TGAs take place on December 11th, so we're coming up quick to that. It looks like Expedition 33 got the most nods with 12 total nominations, which, if you didn't know, is the most ever in the history of this event. Game of the Year noms, I just figured it'd be worthwhile calling out the biggest one. Remember, last year was Astrobot, ended up winning. This year, we're choosing between Claire Obscure Expedition 33, Death Stranding 2, DK Bonanza, Hades 2, Hollow Knight Silk Song, and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. What are your thoughts, guys?
I think it's like that's a good roster. Also, none of those have live service, right?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah, interesting call out there. Yeah, maybe.
I think that's speaking volumes right now. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
Right. Granted, this is voted on by a group, so it isn't every single one. As we know, there's been some streamers that have been calling out lately about what they think should or shouldn't be considered Game of the Year, or what they say is not worthy of Game of the Year, and they're going to tell you to boycott it. But hey, not our choice. That's just with the nominations. The day after last week's pod, speaking of the last podcast, Valve was super kind. They were perfect in releasing their newest hardware offerings the day after we streamed. If you didn't hear about it, that's the Steam Machine, aka the GameCube, as it's being called now, forever henceforth. The Steam Frame VR headset and the next gen Steam controller. These have been detailed elsewhere, so we've been discussing it on our Discord, which has been awesome just to kind of see what other people have to say. So we won't get too deep on quick bites, but the power of the GameCube has been the discussion the last
Also,
couple days.
what is it a missed opportunity that it wasn't colored orange?
No, there's been people throwing out those kind of like mocked up versions of different things. Someone like mocked up the like supply ammo crates that you see in Half-Life 2.
I love that.
Some people were saying you could troll by like hiding a Lambda 3 somewhere on it too. Like people are having fun with it. Yeah, they could have done the orange box.
That would have been so cool.
Yeah, I'm sure that's an option. Somewhere down the line, you know, if I can earn orbs on Discord to like buy things, I'm sure Steam can come up with some kind of currency for me to buy kits for my GameCube.
Right.
So if you didn't see those, remember those hardware surveys that you've been filling out in Steam for the longest time for anyone that's on Steam. Well, Valve does say that even though you look over the list and some people have some very strong opinions about it, Valve says the machine will have more powerful specs than what 70% of Steam users currently have.
Oh man.
So
and I think it's rumored to be like $400 right around there.
There's a
So
lot of
that's what they're
rumors
aiming
right
for
now.
hardware-wise?
Right. So part of the thing is that when you look at those specs, they may not look like super impressive in terms of like what you're seeing for high-end PCs or what other PCs are doing for like 4K gaming. But in terms of like controlling the cost and offering something that's better than what a majority of people on Steam reportedly have, that's got to be walking that line in the middle ground. So 400, 500, upwards of maybe
Bro.
800. It's a little hard to say.
All I'm saying, cheaper than a PlayStation 5, Xbox One. Also, icing on the cake, no online payment for playing with friends.
Right.
Yep.
Bro,
Get your Steam library back. It's the craziest time, guys. We're going from consoles trying to become PCs to PCs becoming consoles. They're just passing each other like ships in the night. We're here
wild.
again.
Honestly,
Speaking of crossovers,
I honestly really like how they did how they actually did the hardware benchmarking though. Actually, like taking the information they gathered from those surveys. It's like, really keeping your finger on the pulse of your user base and going, okay, if we're actually going to be doing a console, something that can be future proofed for folks to actually, have a dedicated Steam console, let's make sure that most of our player base on average can actually use it. So we know what they're running. Let's match those specs, and then pretty much everything that's on offer, or at least the vast majority of it that's on offer on Steam, you can load up your Steam library and just go.
Hey, like Blue says in the chat, they can't imagine that it's less than 500. I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't imagine it's cheaper than that. I don't think it's going to cap out higher than maybe 700-800. It's tough to say, but it is a pretty cool thing. And
is that the word for it? GameCube?
That's what I've been saying, man. Tonight,
oh,
it's a
GameCube. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it.
More than anything, because I worked in user research for a while with my time at Microsoft and with Xbox research, feedback is so undervalued by a lot of people, and those feedback surveys are huge, absolutely huge. So the company like Valve can use those for exactly this. I will say it's not always going to be used for good, like every single survey you're going to see out there, but it really lets you show what's happening in the market. And these companies can make better future-proofing plans when they have better data. Anyway, speaking of crossovers, before we get too deep into that, if you got more to talk about with this, definitely hop on our Discord. We're still talking about the specs and stuff on there. Fans of crossovers got a leak with Magic the Gathering and Monster Hunter having a collab that just showed up online recently. Multiple cards were shown off for each of the 4 drops, and it's currently scheduled for December 1st as the release. So the post of that has already been taken down because it kind of leaked out. But that did get dropped, and it looks like it's coming out. Escape from Tarkov's 1.0 release happened, if you did not know. It's already hitting a bumpy road on Steam with major server issues and now review bombing pretty hard. This is on the back of Arc Raiders receiving massive praise and already passing 480,000 active players on Steam, which, if you did know, is 4 times the size of COD's launch, which just happened. I know there's some MMO fans in the chat. Look, it's been a super rough year for fans of the genre. NetEase has canceled its Warhammer MMO, and Project Ghost, which was in the hands of WoW vet Greg Street. Amazon has laid off staff and canceled the Lord of the Rings MMO. Microsoft layoffs axed a new unannounced sci-fi MMO from ZeniMax. But in MMO news, we've got some more stuff to know about Ashes of Creation, which is an indie MMO that got its start on Kickstarter in 2017. Well, it's finally coming to Steam in early access. If you're a fan, maybe it's worth checking out. The devs are selling a alpha and beta access for $50, which may sound a little bit rough for this kind of early access or something like this, given that the full launch has already been said it won't have an upfront cost. But that is currently half the price of the access they sell on their website, which is currently at $100 until the launch on Steam. So if you're looking to get into something like that, there's a little pro tip for you, just some news for them. I'm not quite done with MMO news. Sorry if you're not a fan. The first of two known Horizon MMORPGs have been officially revealed. However, the one shown off is the one being developed by NCSoft, not the one by Guerrilla. So it's called.
A Chinese company, right?
That's the Korean company.
Korean company. Okay.
Yeah, NCSoft known for a lot of MMOs that have come out, especially like Rift. Was one of the games that I play. A lot of like the constant releases, the samey kind of games. I think Ion as well was NCSoft. Anyway, this one's called Horizon Steel Frontiers. Players will get to customize their characters, take on giant machines. But the rub for fans and the kind of pushback on this is the platforms that this is for. It's for iOS and Android, with a PC crossplay version.
Weird.
So a mobile-focused multiplayer spin-off of the PlayStation first-party single-player franchise. Obviously, this is for a very specific market. It was licensed out to NCSoft to do something with it, but what are your thoughts on that?
Cash grab instantly. That's it.
Any feelings, Ace?
Not really feeling it, honestly. I mean, like Horizon honestly feels like the kind of game for me that just mobile, while there may be a lot of mobile users out there, it feels like the platform itself is still going to be very limiting for a game like Horizon.
You'd think so, but the amount of money to be made in mobile is still insane. So again, that's in licensing it out. Remember what we've heard about Blizzard potentially licensing out like StarCraft and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're still looking for those other markets. But yes, as Andre says in the chat, I'm a huge fan of Horizon, the mobile version. I'm not moved by it at all. There's still the rumored Guerrilla Games made MMO for Horizon in development. We'll see when we hear something about that. That one I'm interested in. But yep, there we go on that. Microsoft's next Xbox partner preview event is landing in 2 days on November 20th. Partner titles like 007 First Light, Tides of Annihilation, Reanimal, and some other ones too are taking the spotlight this time around, but the company does promise, quote, brand new reveals and Game Pass announcements, end quote. So we're super close to the TGAs, right? So I don't think this moves the needle much for where Xbox is currently in people's minds. But if you're a fan of Xbox, you're interested in maybe getting some eyes on that First Light game a little bit more, that's when it's happening. Ace, are you a fan of Death Stranding?
Ish,
James?
Never played it.
Well, we already knew there was going to be a live action title for it, but we just heard from Hideo Kojima and Disney that it's also getting an anime series as well. So called Death Stranding Isolations. It will only be on Disney Plus starting in 2027. So a little bit of interesting news there. Rockstar Games. Some people in chat talked about it last week too. We were talking about the news, not only because of the delay in the release date, but just kind of everything going on with their legal battles. They're continuing to face issues after laying off 31 GTA developers on October 30th. Days after the news broke of that new release date being pushed back to November 2026, ostensibly to continue polishing the game for release, Rockstar says that the firings were over leaks, that these people were leaking information, sensitive information about the game in development. Some people aren't buying that. As the Independent Workers of Great Britain trade union has filed legal claims against those terminations, with workers who were let go said they were fired for trying to unionize. So unionization is something we've talked about in the pod as well. Looks like
Wow.
Rockstar might be doing a little bit of that before a little union busting potentially. Don't actually know, but that's kind of legal stuff that's going on. Not only that, but just kind of broken the last day. Protests from the fired staffers took place in London, and now 220 remaining GTA 6 devs have signed a petition to the company to have those people reinstated. So another twist on that. They're kind of pushing back on those things happening.
Okay, cool.
Tomb Raider developer Crystal Dynamics is in the news again, and unfortunately, it's not good news. They just announced that they've terminated nearly 30 more developer jobs as they overhaul their teams. The big reason to note, and the reason we're calling this out, is this is the third time Crystal Dynamics has reduced its size in 2025 alone. This is the third round of layoffs, I believe, in 8 months. Last bit of quick bites is the weirdness happening over at Ubisoft. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but in the 11th hour, right before their earnings report was going to be released, the company delayed it and paused all share trading. This stock freeze and delay is really unusual, and there are rumors swirling that this could mean a privatization deal or maybe acquisition of Ubisoft. Though internally, the company's CFO says it was taking extra time to finalize its results. We know it's been a tough year for them. Tencent is already the company's largest shareholder. So there's talk about potentially something with that. But after EA's recent acquisition, it's worth gamers knowing where some of their favorite properties and the new owners are. So that might be happening, something that's happening, but hey man, that's kind of weird. No articles this week. I am going to skip the rumor mill because we got plenty of stuff to talk about. I know we want to get to the tech. We've got a new segment we want to roll out. I'm just going to end with one kind of talking about topic because we did that last week. We got some good feedback. Let's just talk AI really quick, panel. This is something we've been kind of batting back and forth. We know the tool can be both good and bad, seen as a way to like create faster iterative development and creative ideation, but will instead lead to less jobs and more creative homogenization, right? Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Let's talk about that. You guys know it's not doing so hot. I think I saw something where like its physical sales are down 61%. That's a pretty crazy number. They just had the franchise's worst launch on Steam, and so far it has the worst user score the franchise has ever seen. It also pretty much is in the news because it got called out in U.S. Congress over the AI-generated art that users have been pointing out as some of the worst AAA AI slop to date. Calling cards, promos, and some other generative content. The larger issue here is really optics. Call of Duty makes so much money, and while it costs a lot to produce those titles, year over year profit, they're still showing that there's growth there. And that growth apparently means that they can't hire actual artists and creators for content, instead opting for quicker and cheaper AI generation. I mean, at this point, Congress is calling for regulations as it's becoming increasingly noticeable by a wider population that AI is being used to eliminate jobs for profit margins instead of improving the current workforce's lives. On that same note, Krafton, the publisher behind PUBG Battlegrounds, Enzoy, and the upcoming Subnautica 2, is in the news after deciding to become an AI-first company. They're offering to buy out employees with a year's worth pay to quit their jobs. This is right after the company reported record high operating profits, which came out to roughly 717 million US dollars.
Oh man.
There's also reports now that Krafton allegedly used ChatGPT to avoid paying a $250 million earnout, if I remember right. Those details are part of an ongoing investigation, so we can't really know for sure until that comes out. Speaking of Ubisoft, they're also in this AI conversation. They just promised to replace AI art that was found in Anno 117 Pax Romana, which is that game that just came out recently. That thing was just released and was called out pretty much right away for people noticing a lot of AI-generated art. The company released a statement saying that images that were pointed out were, quote, placeholder assets unintentionally slipping through our review process.
Sounds like Marathon.
Sure.
Interesting, right? On the flip side, and this is just as an example in this AI conversation, Arc Raiders was called out recently as well about AI. This is a maybe a better example as the flip side of that. They did use AI tools, but primarily text to speech on additional item and location callouts. They still hired professionals for voice acting, and those professionals were told upfront about the company's intentions with their AI tools, including signed contracts which had royalties for future uses. So we ask, and I asked the panel and I asked chat, where is the line? Developers so far are using a mix of both of AI and humans due to AI's limitations at the moment. Indie games are having a big push in the industry right now. We've seen that big surge. AI can help those smaller teams make more complex or more iterative content quicker and cheaper for them too. So that's huge. It's a huge boon for them. But then the flip side of that is these larger companies in AAA can use it, but it's mostly being seen as used for cost cutting or shrinking times between releases. What do you think, guys?
I'd say, honestly, on as far as I'm concerned, AI is definitely one of those tools where if you're using it to cut corners, it is going to show. It is going to show big time. Those corners are going to come out looking real damn crispy. But at the same time, literally the way that Arc Raiders handled it, as far as being upfront with the usage of AI, being upfront with the fact that they are still, actually utilizing, human talent. It's really, the simple fact that AI, much like any other tool, it's going to be judged not on its own merits, but more it's going to be judged by the hand of who's using it.
GQ, I can see you thinking there, man.
I mean, I use AI for our content.
Right.
I think ultimately it comes down to transparency. What Ace said, like if people are coming into it knowing that there's going to be AI support into it, and there's some like this is what we're going to be doing, I think people are more comfortable with that because nobody likes being replaced by a robot. Like let's just say that, like, straightforward, right? Let's just get cut to the chase. I think companies using AI to cut corners it is what it is. You're going to cut corners, and the quality is not going to be there, right? And I always combat this with a lot of my artist friends. I'm like, you guys should not be intimidated by AI because your hand drawn stuff that is like timeless, that takes effort and time, it's not going to be replicated, and it's only digitally. Like if you create stuff like physically, AI can't really do that. Now, in this case, as far as gaming goes, I think that there's going to be more attention to detail when the person's behind that. So it's up to the company to make that decision for themselves. And this is when I was talking about, like, is the game designed to make money or is it designed to be like an awesome art piece, right? Because if you're the latter, you're going to want people behind this and kind of like inspecting everything. If you're just out there like to mill a game, to pump out a game and make money and come back, people are going to use AI and it's going to show. And this is why people are kind of complaining about it. So.
Yeah, it's very much the context of where we are as an industry right now. We've talked a lot about this, but the rising cost of development means they're looking for places to cut corners. It's just where you're choosing to do it. Companies are still having record profits year over year over year in a lot of these big games. Maybe not with the latest Call of Duty after what we've seen from this release, but after seeing like how much they've leaned into that and how a lot of feedback has been the game feels cookie cutter, it feels kind of pushed out. It's that very fast time frame they've given themselves to release the game. It means they're kind of forcing themselves into the corner where they have to use these tools instead of using them to augment. They're making it their method. So yeah, no, it's an interesting conversation to have. That's why there's like 4 or 5 articles talking about all of those different ones. So instead of just like ballooning this out of there or showing every article, it's just like let's just shrink it up, talk about it real quick.
I have a feeling down the road, games are going to start being labeled with like AI has been used in some of the aspects of the game.
So that's already happening too,
Okay.
and it's
Gotcha.
happening like Steam, for example. Like Pax Romana, if I remember right, did say that Ubisoft did say like AI was used in iterative or generative reason, whatever, right?
Yeah.
So that's happening, but at what level? How deep do you go, and what are they using it actually for? So people can say like, "Oh yeah, no, I use this. I use this for some things. I use it for generating content." You're not going to expect every dev to say for every single thing. That's just ridiculous. But the flip side of that is if it's being used for like Pax Romana is a good example of they're looking at these like classical Roman like artworks that look like they can be done, but people were quick to show like, oh, that person's missing a head in the background. It's very clearly AI from the way it's laid out, right? So it's just interesting. And like I said, there's a lot of context here. There's a lot of conversation to be had when we move forward as an industry, but that's just kind of where we're at. A lot of things are happening right now, and not all of it good.
Yeah, I think ultimately we'll kind of like we'll get to that point where like a lot of AI will be used and people will be like, you know how like using Polaroids is the cool thing now, right? I feel like we'll go back to that. We're like we'll start using AI and be like, oh no, this is hand drawn now. Like we'll go back to.
We'll see what happens. That's what I got for the news, guys. No rumor mill this week because the world is ablaze with Half-Life 3 crap. I don't want to get into it again.
Well, it's pretty cool, man. Thanks for the quick bites. Love it. All right, Ace, show us the tech.
So yeah, I wish I could say that I took more time than I did actually writing this up, but let's face it, the birthday weekend kind of got me on a sleep deficit.
Did you use AI? Do we need to make sure that that's put in here, like for your writing?
But just to kind of get us into it, though, over the last couple sessions, as we've approached our new battles with this new season of the show, these last couple sessions have been focused on getting the lay of the land, right? We've been making moves and reviewing how to cover ground in games via the way of momentum. We've been reviewing how to control the battlefield through offensive prowess and spatial awareness, with last week's session through the way of the spear. But this time, I want to cover what I call the third path to excellence and to developing a deeper appreciation of the classic games we've come to know, love, and more often than not turn into absolute spectacles of skill and comedy in equal measure. If it's said that the best offense truly is a good defense, then honestly, I feel like I'd be doing folks a disservice if I didn't at the very least cover, some of the different ways you can actually defend yourself in the games that we normally cover in this segment. The action doesn't take place in a vacuum. That's the thing. And the opposition is going to be coming right for you, even if it's something so simple as you walking from left to right. There's going to be that Goomba looking to shrink or stomp you. So, there's going to be points where you won't be able to move out of the way. So you should be able to, at the very least, if you find that you can't avoid the hits, you can take the hits and then dish that damage out in equal measure. It's, Sylvester Stallone said it in Balboa. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. So today, I'm going to introduce to y'all what I call the way of Aegis. This is where we're covering defense. I mean, sure, you pick up a game, you're probably going to start looking at, what kind of moves can your character do? How can you get out there and just bust heads? What kind of projectiles can you put on screen? What kind of strikes, what kind of throws does your character have access to? Stuff like that. But, here, we're going to cover more of the defensive aspects of controlling the battlefield. Now, to say that some of my favorite games have earned their spot due to the defensive options available that supplement offense and navigation should really come as no surprise. I mean, I'm a fighting game fan from the arcade days, so that the game that we've been using for our leitmotif this whole time, Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, it should be no surprise that that's going to be in the conversation. And the fighting game moment referenced as often as Kanada's freaking Hayabusa slide is none other than Evo Moment 37. What could best be described as a lightning fast showcase of pure defensive execution in a game that was ultimately designed to reward that kind of play with the opportunity to completely turn the tide of battle 180 degrees in an instant. Other games, there are other games out there that have similar mechanics to parrying that can turn slugfests into defensive chess matches that'll leave the player and the spectator on the edge of their seats. There's stuff like bullet time, focus mode, faultless defense, just defense. You've got your reflections and your parrying in Soul Calibur 3, for example. You've got the clashes and deflects from Absalom. Gameplay could be seen as a tapestry, right? And every single mechanic in that game, every single aspect of the game, from its mechanics to its audio and visual design, are the threads that make up that tapestry. But it's going to be your defense it's going to be how you defend yourself in those games that weaves all of it together and makes it more tightly woven, so that way you get a good look at the bigger picture. And to kind of showcase that, let's actually go ahead and take a look at one of the newest kids on the block that just released a couple days ago, Where Winds Meet. Now, in the last couple sessions before this, I tied in martial arts. I tied in martial arts and combat sports, stuff that you do offline in meat space as opposed to, online or in game. And, I tied it together because, a lot of those concepts apply offline as well as online. And I figure what better way to actually find an in-game representation of tying together, martial arts philosophy with, gaming philosophy than through this. And funny enough, I'm actually coming up right up here on a combat scenario where I can show off exactly what we've got available as far as your defensive options. Now, of course, this is basically Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon the game. So you're going to have your agility, you're going to have your movement. But when you get into the thick of the fight, you're going to have your parrying and deflection, and you've also got, just straight up guarding. So you can reduce your damage, but your parries will actually allow you to completely mitigate damage and also open the enemy up for counters. So you can get to a point where if you pull everything off correctly, you'll take very little to no direct damage at all, and can turn the tide around with your parries with different counters.
I love the fact you're fighting with a fan.
Actually, the fan, oddly enough, the fan is actually a good weapon, a good defensive weapon, because one of its skills that it has, healing.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
And after you heal, after you use the healing, you can switch weapons. Because you have two weapons. You have two weapons that you could equip at any given time. So let's switch me back to the fan real quick. You can set up the healing field and then swap to your more offensive weapons to have constant healing while you're fighting.
It's like a font of healing, huh?
But again, the two best ways for you to defend yourself in this, the two best ways for you to avoid damage, are either getting out of the way or using your parries to control the fight and control where you want your opponents, so that way you can land, you can land your counters once you've got them staggered, or at the very least, just get yourself out of the way so you can reposition Let's try that again. Reposition and recover. Now let me get someplace away from the fight so that way we can, not watch me get murked. But that being said, I mean, let me go ahead and kick over to you guys. I know that, again, the action, the part of the game where you're going through and being proactive is, a pretty big deal when it comes to just, games that you enjoy. But there's got to be some spots, where the defense in the game actually like really enhances your experience. So, what are some of you guys' standout defensive mechanics?
I mean, for me, I would say any game that has like a parry, right? It's always feels so much better to parry than to block. And like Sekiro is probably the number one game that comes to mind when it comes to like parrying, dodging, blocking. You're using all of your defensive movement to kind of like wait your chance for that opening, right? When I played Sekiro and I like grinded through that game, I definitely felt that like in the anime they're like I gotta block, oh, an opening, it's my chance. It's kind of like I always had that moment in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And deflecting in that game feels so good. It's like you earned it, and then the way it's just the way the sound feels, the way it feels when you're just blocking, it ultimately just feels good to be defensive in that game. Oh, Andre said it pretty good there. I'm not a big Yakuza guy, not yet. So
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah,
it took you for like how many years at Mass Effect? I'll get you with Yakuza eventually.
there's
yeah,
too many
definitely
numbers.
the rush style in Zero.
Yeah,
That is some primo defensive stuff.
and I'll double down with James on the pairing, just the high risk, high reward skill of just like trying to time it exactly right that completely negates the attack. Like seeing people pull off that skill, like we talk about, the Evo moment with Daigo, like it's still I love that's what got me into those kind of mechanics. But I mean, beyond that, what always comes to mind for me was all those years I played World of Warcraft, because I primarily played a tank for, I want to say, mostly four expansions, including the original vanilla. Like I played tank because I preferred to be there in the thick of it. I preferred seeing the battlefield, making call outs, that kind of thing. Managing your resources and knowing what cooldowns to use and what resources you have available on that kind of scale with that many different abilities, and just seeing like even stuff you wouldn't think to use, how it could be useful in a particular encounter. Like that's what I love about that kind of like defensive skill with it. Yeah, it's just a straight up tank character, but knowing, like I said, when to use certain things was something that I took away of one of my favorite things and why I stuck with tanking for so long.
Well, hey, I mean, like I said earlier, sometimes, just being able to get in there and just hold the line while everything else is happening so you can make those call outs. I mean, hell, the homie Oliver, he's pretty much been acting as our tank when we were taking on Omega in Monster Hunter. He pretty much showed up, shield, lance, and he's over there just poking Omega, pulling aggro, making the call outs for part breaks, while the rest of us with more active weapons like the sword and shield and insect glaive would just go around, hit the part breaks, and keep piling on the damage while he's focusing on holding the monster's attention. But I mean, aside from that, aside from like, Snake style, there's also stuff like, the Royal Guard style in Devil May Cry. And also, other really cool, defensive mechanics, the witch time, the last second dodging and stuff that's in, most platinum games like Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising.
Yeah, no, I agree with all that. I think to me, what makes like an character action game super fun is not necessarily like the moveset you get, it's how your character reacts to the world. like Metal Gear Rising, right? Like you can't really hold block. You have to parry the last second to like take the parry,
Yep.
stuff like that. Ninja Gaiden 2 is another good example. You can't just sit there and hold block though. Like the AI will kind of like know you're holding block and make adjustments. So it's to me, it makes the game just dynamic. Like you can't like if you stood there holding block and you weren't able to take damage, I feel like that would be us, it's telling to the developers saying like, hey, you didn't kind of like count this to happen. You need your AI to kind of like, adjust with the player also. That makes the game much more interesting.
I always like the high risk, high reward. I'm reminded of like Dragon Age Inquisition, the Reaver tree with a melee character, two-handed Reaver. You don't have defense. You have a two-handed sword. You don't have a shield. So
Yeah.
all of your abilities are focused on siphoning life while you're getting hit and dealing out damage.
It's like
The more you get hit, the more damage you do, but the more damage you take. And it's just, you're just like trying to control the resource that is basically your life powers. You're trying to like plow through enemies, suck their life force from them so you don't die in combat. Like that's what I like.
I think the number one game for me that really exemplifies what you're talking about, Ace, is the Arkham series. Like the defensive mode of Batman, like that, and kind of like being able to parry multiple characters at the same time. Also, that it makes you feel good. You're like, oh, I'm so cool in this game, So, and I think that's important. That game feel. If the game makes you feel like you're doing something awesome, right?
Yeah,
And
the Arkham series, and then by extension, the Middle Earth, the Mordor games.
Correct. It's a good one too.
And just going back to something that's a little bit more recent, Absalom definitely has that great, has great options for actively using your defense to control space on the screen, because your blocking is pretty much all tied to your the button for evades. Well, it's tied to the button. It's tied to evading and also tied to your heavy attack, because your heavy attack is how you actually do like the weapon clashes for your parries. But then if you evade and like move toward an attack that's incoming, that's how you do the deflects. So it's still like two different kinds of blocking, or two different types of parrying, but one that's more of a pushback and the other that's an actual parry and counter.
Did you know in Knights of the Round, if you hit back at the right moment, you can actually block a swing at you?
No.
Yeah. That was one of the things that they built in naturally that nobody ever really realized. But if you got really good at the game and you hit back, like before they hit you, you can parry everything.
Oh, that's dope.
Hey, now you know.
Yeah. Look, if you're not learning something at the academy, you're probably not watching the show.
You need that. You just need that GIF of the more you know across the screen.
Yes.
Let's make sure we add that to the list now.
Yeah. I mean, this is why we have this one, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
But with that being said, let's just cut right to the end of it. So for your homework, what I'd like y'all to do is, if you haven't already done so, and if you've got the space for it, download Where Winds Meet. Give it a shot. Check out the game, and if nothing else, check out how you can move through the game, utilizing your defense to help set you up for the big moments and set you up for the cool offensive stuff that you could do in this title. If you don't, or if it's not something you're really feeling, then find another game that showcases some of the mentioned defensive mechanics that we talked about. Dig back into the Arkham games. Pull up Middle Earth, Shadow of Mordor, or Shadow of War. Hell, pull up Absalom. Pull up Soul Calibur 3, Tekken, Street Fighter 3, Wild Hearts, and just really focus on, for at least give yourself maybe an hour, 2-hour session, and just focus on your defensive mechanics, and just make more time to set up your offense by leading with your defense. Lead with your parries, lead with your blocks, lead with your deflects, and then see how that augments your gameplay. See how that changes up your experience and opens up new avenues for you to experience the game. And once you've got all that done, report your findings in the comments, on the Discord, or talk to us about it on Twitter. You know where to find us. But that is going to do it for this week's session of the Tech. And just remember, study hard, train smart, and may your combos always connect.
Oh, hold on. This one's for you. Yeah, it feels good. Because you just, you played for 20 minutes trying to get through the whole battlefield, and you hear that jubilee, right? So, yeah, it feels good. All right. We got something special for y'all tonight because we got a new segment. Something special. Nick, tell us all about it, man.
It's a new segment that you talked about at the very top of the show, RETRO-spective. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in for this one. This is our chance once a month to kind of look at the past and highlight a dev team, publisher, or defining moment in the gaming industry. One of my favorite things about season 1 was when we did our This Week in Gaming History, which was a little long-winded. We heard your feedback. And decided to, at least when I did it, I decided to highlight some stuff that happened as far as like what happened to dev teams, what happened in the industry, companies that are no more. And that was always a fun thing to talk about and see people in chat kind of like mention like, oh yeah, I loved that. The big thing about this is we only do this segment once a month. So it's not going to be something where I take up the airwaves from these guys too much. It isn't just stuff that's close to our hearts. Be sure to join our Discord. If one of you two don't mind throwing the link in there for people to join, share with your friends. Vote on next month's highlight. Let us know about one of these teams or moments that stand out in your mind. This is our very first time at this segment, so I wanted to take a moment and let you know the deal. Really, it's about rolling out these limited time segments for here at the Gaming Academy for this next year. This one is my brainchild. Talking about what shaped my love of gaming and the industry as a whole for the first one, looking to the past and realize, where we've come from and maybe a little bit of what we've lost. My first choice, James said it at the very top of this, is Westwood Studios. I'm going to toss this video on in the back so you can see some of the games and what they looked like. All right, Westwood Studios. Like many developers of the era, this company was born in a garage. Brett Sperry and Lewis Castle founded the company in 1985, which eventually was renamed to Westwood Studios in 1992 when Virgin Games bought it. Westwood Studios was a major brand in the 80s and 90s gaming scene, and they went defunct in 2003, 5 years after Electronic Arts acquired them in 98. While the team started with contract work on the Amiga and Atari ST, the first real big hit for them was Eye of the Beholder. I don't know if you two remember that game, but you'll definitely remember the cover art for it.
Heck yeah.
Awesome game. A D&D real-time RPG game which launched in 1991. Then in 1992, a double win with Legend of Corandia, which was a point-and-click adventure game, and Dune 2, an RTS game that has since been seen as one of the first games to standardize what the entire RTS genre would look and play like over the next 10 years. These 3 titles alone made Westwood a popular dev team for publishers who would say that games were completed on time because it was Westwood who were working on it. You may also remember the logo on other early 1990s games like Lands of Yore, Young Merlin, and yes, The Lion King, one of the hardest games on the SNES, was a Westwood joint. But let's talk about the peak of their mountain, 1995's Command and Conquer. The game built on the gameplay and UI from Dune 2, but added things that became iconic and kickstarting an entire series. They had pre-rendered 3D graphics for sprites and cinematics, an alternative pop rock soundtrack meshed with techno, online play, FMV cutscenes, branching missions and objectives, all done on the newer technology of games on the CD format. The audio never sounded crisper. This sounds like stuff that's pretty archaic nowadays, but keep in mind this was 1995. This was really early for a team to be doing this. If you want the kind of behind the scenes stuff, there's a lot of really good things out there, but I definitely recommend No Clip and their story behind Command and Conquer's remastering. They got some of the original dev team. They talked to them. Excellent. Check it out. Like I said, keep in mind, all of this happened in 1995 and took an enormous amount of work by the team to make this title work. Keep in mind, this predated the release of Warcraft 2 and other iconic RTS titles. 1 year after that, in 96, it had a follow up, Command and Conquer Red Alert. That was released, and I'll tell you, I played that more than anything else during those years. Those were one of the formative games in my gaming history. It pushed new boundaries and mission types, its atmosphere. It had an alternative history telling in it. It's widely considered by a wide variety of gaming publications to be one of the greatest games ever made. Nothing lasts forever, unfortunately, as we all know. And while some hits were still on the horizon, eventually Westwood Studios was closed in 2003 by Electronic Arts after Command & Conquer Renegade and Earth and Beyond failed sales goals. So let's remember a developer that made some incredible games, left an indelible mark on the RTS genre with Command & Conquer and Dune, early RPG titles, and my own personal childhood. I looked forward to playing every game stamped with their logo, including hidden gems like Nox and Blade Runner. So thank you, Westwood Studios, for making me passionate about RTS games and PC games. Don't forget, like I said, hop on our Discord. Let us know what teams or moments you want to see highlighted next time we roll around, which will be in 1 month. I'll toss it into a poll if we get a lot of feedback, and you can vote for our next retrospective.
Man,
That looks really wrong from what I'm watching right here.
that footage of Lands of Lore you had up though, that unlocked the core memory for me.
Dude,
Yeah, it's really tough seeing some of these games. I just remembered like this was my childhood.
This style of like PC, this is like PC gaming for me back in the day.
Yeah.
Right.
Like high
Right.
pixel art. Oh my god, it's so good.
That's one of the reasons I thought of Westwood as one of the first teams I wanted to talk about, just because they defined PC gaming for me and for a lot of people, like rightfully so. Command and Conquer was that peak, and they just kept improving on that. And eventually, obviously, it fell off with different changes in the industry. But I felt it was worthwhile when we talk about our industry. We talk about like dev teams and the stuff that go through small teams. This is what I loved about gaming growing up. I loved the passion behind it. I love just, two dudes or multiple teams, no matter what your age or gender, getting into a garage, building something together for the passion behind it. And this was definitely something that Blue Riot Bot actually in our Discord called out Rebecca Heineman passing away. She was one of the founders of Interplay, another very important dev from my past, as well as one of the people that originally worked on the first Fallout game, which was huge. So yeah, man, like I said, this is just a chance to take a look back at the past and just highlight some stuff that we kind of missed, something that really defined gaming for a lot of people and defined the industry for a long time. So like I said, man, just shout out to Westwood, the teams, the people that worked for them.
So good.
Actually, Counter-Strike that's on the screen here for the time was the fastest selling DLC at the time. Like, it was pretty crazy for an add-on, or fastest selling add-on. It wasn't really DLC, but it was the fastest selling add-on at the time too. Like, Command and Conquer was massive, massive, massive.
Yeah, and it's just been reduced to a mobile game now. It's so
I think if I remember right, James, you talked about you played Tiberian Sun.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
And then Generals. I actually played Generals when it was on PC, and I actually liked it. Like there's nothing wrong with it. It is more Command and Conquer, which is fine. Yeah, no, this brings me back. Like I'm loving watching this. I gotta watch this whole video now. Make me cry.
Yeah, I have the link if you want to share it. And like I said, if one of you two don't mind tossing in the invite to Discord, share it with your friends. Let's get some more feedback and let's vote on next month's retrospective. I love diving deep into what other people are passionate about and just kind of talking about things that may have been lost.
What was that? Recoil? I've never seen that.
Oh yeah,
60 frames per second.
it's pretty smooth, right? That was even before the year 2000. If I remember right, too, like I talked about it in a previous podcast, but there was this isometric game, their game Nox.
Yeah, I
Reminded
remember
me a
that.
lot of like the magic based like isometric like Diablo style, but more
Mhm.
focused on the magic side
Like,
of it. I remember
magic
getting this as like one of those free demo discs that were timed when they were trying to give you like free AOL minutes and that kind of thing. But I just remember playing this game, that demo. It was like a 5-minute demo, and I just kept replaying it. I got really, really into it, and I played it because it was Westwood.
That's really cool. Yeah, this right here, I played this. This is the DLC Firestorm. Soundtrack's good. It's got the nice rock track to it. Just very responsive to play. The art of
I'm
this
telling you,
game
man,
is really good.
this is late Saturday nights, chilling with your boy in front of the computer with homemade nachos. Just
Microwave nachos, in
What's
fact.
crazy is,
Hey.
like, we're talking about like a lot of memories in this season, right? Like my buddy Matt would always bring his PC to my house, right? And we'd set it up like his computer, like just one monitor, like CRT monitor, right? His PC, basically my bedroom, next to my TV, next to my console, because I didn't have a PC. And he'd be playing like a game like this. I'd be playing a console game, and we're just hanging out together. Literally, bro, just playing video games. We're not even like involved in each other's game, but we're just like, oh, look at this cool thing I'm gonna do. I'm like, hey, you're right there, right? It's like OG Twitch, like that's how Twitch used to be back in the day.
right.
Yeah, and then hopefully, guys, like if we get a lot of young people in our audience or watching this video, like you guys get to experience that with your homies, like not just like being at home and watching them play video games, but actually being in the same room, just playing video games. Like even if you're not playing the same game, like it's just a different vibe to it. You grab your favorite soda, you get a pizza, just chill, bro. It is one of those things in life that you just like don't appreciate until it's gone, honestly.
And that's one of the reasons I wanted to do the retrospective. There's just so many things that we always talk about, like we feel like as an industry we've lost, or as we get less and less time and nowadays less and less disposable funds, what made us fall in love with gaming in the first place? What did developers fall in love with in the first place?
Diego said, "Nah,
Um,
go back,
yeah. Nah.
nah, go back."
Go back. We've hacked too much time. Yeah, there's just something about it, man. A lot of games were just because of the developer for me back in the day. I had a lot of that like brand love more than understanding of games back then. I found a game I liked and I stuck with that team. Like RTSs for me, it was easy. That was like the genre I loved, so I hopped into Warcraft and then eventually StarCraft, and that created my love for Blizzard around there. Not some of their older titles, but like Westwood put themselves on the map because of playing some of these games that we're seeing here.
They have an iconic logo too. It's like that green logo, right? Like Westwood Studios, and it always come in as like a ripple, like a boombox sound or something like that. Like I just remember that Westwood Studios popping up whenever I put Red Alert in my PS1, my PlayStation, and so it's just and I always thought like, man, PC is so much better. Like when you're playing Red Alert, versus like our home console. So, but it is what it is. So, wow, look at Jago's just calling out your games, bro, in chat.
Yeah, it's like he knows, and it's not just Yakuza.
Well, that was skitching. That's awesome. Fantastic. Well, appreciate that. Hey, Ace, what would you do? Let's just say you're the next one, right? What would you do for a retrospective?
For a retrospective, I mean, I've seen, I saw a mention of Blizzard. That was a really good one. But what I'd want to do for my retrospective, Argonaut Games.
Wow, that's a reach.
Right? But I mean, come on. Like Argonaut Games, literally two of their games from back in the mid-90s have just the amount of soul that was put into those games, and also just how they pushed technology forward again, kind of like how the PS3 introduced Blu-ray tech. But Argonaut Games, these are the cats that brought us the Super FX chip. It's because of them we got Star Fox, we got Vortex, and we got FX Fighter. And they've been making
Stunt Racer FX, I think.
Too.
So that's awesome. All right, well, I'm looking forward to that. You're up. next. You're doing that one next. So I'll have to
Well,
think
if
about mine.
anything, we could always see what some other people are saying, see if we get any new feedback as well, and throw it into a poll.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
James, what were you saying? What was a couple dev
What?
studios that maybe you want to remember?
Oh, me? No, I was gonna go back retro. Like I would go back to LJN. How y'all did not appreciate the power of LJN.
Yikes!
L- LJN, Acclaim, and Midway.
Maybe we
Bruh.
could save that for next October for like a Halloween spooky episode.
Brother,
Just like
that
the
would be perfect.
terrifying nature of retrospective and LGN.
Yeah, for sure. Like I want to try to find a lot of the older dead studios like Jalico. When was the last time you heard of Jalico? Right? Or I know Natsume is still around because they do like the Harvest Moon games. But just
I'm surprised you
studios
didn't say
that.
like Ukes or Dimps or something like that.
No, Dimps does like Street Fighter. Like
Yeah.
I want to go back. I want to go retro back. Like I gotta dig because I don't I have a very visual memory. So once I see a box art, I'll be like, yes, I remember that, and then now I can talk about it.
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, Jagos and Andre are calling out some of the ones that I thought of too. I felt of something that's just exactly like GQ said. It's one of those things like, what is long dead? What is something where I see the logo and I'm instantly blasted with nostalgia? And Westwood is one of those. Interplay is another one that's definitely one for
really
me.
good. A good one.
LucasArts for sure is one. I just remember a lot of like early LucasArts games and the toilet bowl that they circled for a while for a variety of reasons. What's that?
Terakasi. Matches of Terakasi.
Mm.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Chat, just put it in the Discord. Put it in the suggestion box. Tag us, whoever you want to like give it attention to, and we'll look into it. Because I'm probably gonna go. I'm gonna go look up Dead Studios, which is gonna make me sad.
Yeah, man, there's some really, really good ones. Just think about some of the dev studios that used to work under the umbrella of like bigger companies, like the old Atari's stuff. Silicon Knights as well. That's another one I remember sticking out in my mind. Like Radical, who did like Prototype. I know that was a game that you really liked too. But like Black Isle is another one from that same era of like playing Black Isle games.
I think they did a bunch of PS2 games also. Like they did some like Nether, some Forgotten Realms games or something.
I remember them a lot because they worked a lot with Interplay. That's one of the reasons I saw their games pop up a lot. They did a lot of releases like the original Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2.
Exactly, like Forgotten Realms.
Yeah, a lot of Forgotten Realms kind of things. They were a subsidiary, but God, man, I remember Planetscape with them. They did some work on like Fallout, so they've been attached to some very big properties, and it's just like, what happened to them, kind of thing. So yeah, that's something we'll explore.
Yeah. The band breaks up and they all move on to different things, right? So that's how it is. So. All right, well, that's I like that. Yeah, I like the retrospective. So I hope you liked it too, because that was really good stroll back to memory lane. So awesome. Well, we're back here again to the last feature of the show, the final boss. Nice. Okay, so what is it this time? All right, class. We are 3 episodes into the season, right? Season 2. And we've already learned something important. The opening mission is behind us. The hand-holding is done. The tutorial, it's over. And every gamer knows what that means. When a game stops teaching you the basics, when the tooltips disappear, when the NPC stops telling you what button to press, that's when the game looks at you straight in the face and says, okay, you've trained, you've leveled up, now show me what you can do. Okay? That's our theme for this season, right? So let me go ahead and change this up over here. There we go. Perfecto. Let's go. I don't think I have any music for this one, but that's okay. So you've trained, you've leveled up. Now the world says, show me what you can do. Think about it. In God of War, the moment you finish chopping trees and learning light attacks, boom, the stranger knocks on your door and forces Kratos into his first real test. Now, spoilers if you haven't played the new God of War, Dad of War, but that fight wasn't a punishment. It was a graduation, right? In Elden Ring, after the tutorial cave, you step into Limgrave, and the tree sentinel is right there waiting to humble you. Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about. The one on the horse, right? You're like, no, I got this. It's easy. I played Dark Souls, all of them. Nah. But they weren't there to break you, but they were there to just prepare you. Now in Spider-Man 2, once the flashy intro mission ends, the real villains begin to move, right? The stakes rise, the world widens, and that's where we are tonight. Now, Season 2 is no longer in warm-up mode. We talked about this. We're not loading. We're not calibrating. Hell, we're not even practicing. We're in. We're in there. The real game has begun. Because when the tutorial ends in life, life expects more from you. More of a little bit of everything. More courage, more effort, more intention. Last for tonight, but not limited to, more heart. But here's the part gamers understand better than anyone else, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. When the training wheels come off, it's not because you're unprepared. It's because you're ready. You know that. You're going to feel that. You're going to be ready to apply everything you've learned. When Ace is the tech, he's teaching you how to, maneuver in this episode. He's taught you the way of the spear, ready to step it up, ready to fight for your next level, right? So for tonight's final boss, it isn't a monster or a villain or a final stage. Tonight's final boss is the moment itself, just like Evo Moment 37. The moment where you stop learning in theory and start applying in reality. It's a good one. Where you stop watching the tutorial and finally pick up the controller. Where you stop doubting your ability and trust the player you've become. So as we dive deeper into Season 2, remember this. You've trained, you've leveled up, now you're facing the final boss because the tutorial is finally and officially over. All right? And I end this segment tonight with this. Play with purpose, fight with heart, and step boldly into the real game. Right? Whatever that may be, use that and take that with you tonight. All right? And that's tonight's final boss moment. Okay? All right. Well, I hope you guys are motivated and inspired by all that. I would say like a lot of the final boss stuff that I've been preaching in my segment this season has really like stepped up a bunch of things I've been doing in life in general. Like we're all having our own challenges, hurdles, right? And so take that information as you will and apply it to yourself, and you'd be surprised how much similarities there are with gaming and life. And if you break down, if gaming is more familiar to you and to win, right? Apply that to your lifestyle, and you'd be surprised how much better your life would be if you apply the same tactics, the same kind of effort and diligence to your real life. So just, don't let people tear you down because you're a gamer. You have more tools in your skill set and your knowledge in gaming that you can apply to everything else. And I feel like if you ever put that in your resume, putting gamer in there is definitely a plus, not a negative. So that's just me. And just take that information and apply it to whatever you'd like. So what are you guys' takeaways for tonight?
Well, honestly, I'm right there in the same boat with you. Just not just applying what I've been telling folks about from the tech, but also taking into it, keeping in mind some of the stuff that you've been talking about on the final boss. It's really been helping me. Even on those nights where I'm dealing with sleep debt, it's really been helping me as far as just staying focused, especially on some of the big projects that I'm working on working on in the background. But on top of that, just seeing how this show, seeing how the Academy is evolving just over these last few episodes, how we've been streamlining everything, really fine tuning, and then of course, introducing the new stuff like the retrospective. Like, Nick, real talk, hats off to you, man.
Well, not too
that
quick. You still have your headphones on.
Let me try this again.
Where's my F key at?
Yes.
There it is. Respect.
Hats off to you, man. Like, seriously though, the retrospective is a downright awesome addition to this, and I'm looking forward to more segments like that. Oh, I'm looking forward to throwing my hat in the ring and contributing to a segment of that myself.
Yeah.
Speaking of new stuff we want to add to the show, though, just a real quick heads up for everybody. Next week it's going to be my turn to add something new to the pot.
Ooh.
with the Tech Top 10. So we're going to have ourselves a little bit of fun,
Triple T.
Right. We're going to have ourselves a little bit of fun, take certain things that we like from different games and, from, specific portions of the games that we like, and just count down some of our favorites. It might probably be just a top 5. So that way, we can kind of, still keep it moving along at a nice pace. But, I just want to get more activity, more back and forth from the class as far as, some of your, various favorites in different games. And our first session of the Tech Top 10, well, we'll go with top 5. So that way it won't be so long-winded. So Tech Top 5 next week, top 5 special moves in video games.
Oh, all right. Yeah, chat, jump into the Discord. Tell us your favorite, top, and maybe those overlaps with us.
Yeah, tell us your favorites. Drop some core memories on how you held your breath and were absolutely terrified when Zangief first reached out and got his meat hooks on you.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, mine is when you do a roundhouse sweep and he grabs your leg and into a SPD. That's insane for the computer.
Brother.
Yeah, chat, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Looks like some takeaways in the chat here. It looks like Jacob said we all have our hero's journey. Believe me, I'm trying to finish as much game as I watch anime or books. So he's like, goal settings there. Joseph Campbell is really onto something. Yeah, reading a hero with 1,000 faces, Jagos, has really changed my perspective and how I view life as. Before, I used to just coast in life, and Joseph Campbell really not set me straight, but like it kind of gave my life more purpose. Like I'm just not here on this planet as like citizen number 538 or something like that, right? Like I control my own destiny, and like everything is like a quest. Like, and if you want to dive deep into it, you can actually apply the hero's journey to a lot of video games. The most popular one is probably Legend of Zelda, like Link. He goes through all the cycles of the hero's journey, right? I even use this often in like sales training, like the number one person to kind of like defeat in any kind of like objective crushing is yourself, right? And what do we in Legend of Zelda 2 Link's Awakening, right before you fight Ganon, you fight Shadow Link, which is yourself. So it's kind of funny how that works that way. Like people have already been thinking about this. It's just we're now seeing it in video games, and maybe we've already seen it. We just never realized it was there. So it helped open my eyes to a bunch of stuff that I've already been experiencing and explained a lot that's been happening in life. So
if I may, my takeaway more than ever is community. It's super important that we hear from people here in the class, which has been great so far. Absolutely. Hearing what your friends have to say, being involved in Discord's great. I love seeing the new stuff that we're getting in there. But this panel and the stuff that we cover, and especially retrospective for me, is about the community we used to have with gaming when we couldn't just look up online how to find details to a game or reviews or new releases. When you had to talk to people, word of mouth, being a part of the same community, just like, hey, you got to check out this game, or hey, see this really cool thing, reading magazines and like sharing it with your friends. That was that era of gaming for me. I got turned on to so many other games because of what my friends were telling me. And there was a wide variety of tastes and backgrounds in that friend group. So it was really cool to see, where everyone was coming from. And that's the main reason I wanted to do this podcast with you guys in the first place. Is just sharing these memories and hearing from other people about, what gaming means to them, or like what they see and what they experience. So that's my takeaway as always.
Cool. What about you, Ace?
Well, yeah, again, just, my big takeaway is just, applying what we've learned through gaming to, just to everything in life, actually being able to turn, being able to really turn our hobby into something that's, a lifelong motivator.
I love that. And I feel like, at least our age, happy birthday. We grew up thinking like gaming is a waste of time. You're rotting your brain, right? Like the generation just didn't understand. And doing this show, it to me, it shows those other people they did not know what they were talking about. They don't get it. And hopefully future generations, as chat and everybody out there, can watch the show, take that back with them, and say, hey, they're onto something here, and it's not just a waste of time. It's actually very thoughtful and very plenty of lessons to be had. So, and then this is why one of the mission statements of why I wanted to do the show, and hence why I also chose the name Gamer Quotient, because quotient is the amount of a certain characteristic. So GQ is kind of like a play on of like how much of a gamer do you know you are, or how much gamer are you, right? Kind of like that. So very, very, very fun play on words. Okay. All right. Well, I'll end this tonight with an outro for tonight. So let's go ahead and take it away, Shao Kahn.
Excellent.
All right. So tonight we'll wrap up tonight's class with me thanking the students, of course, thanking you guys for another powerful session of season 2. We kicked things off with a memory card Chronicles. We took a trip through a legendary week in the world of gaming history. Then Nick led us through our very first retrospective, shining a spotlight on Westwood Studios, the kind of team whose work didn't just entertain us, it shaped the industry. Ace also broke down tonight's lesson in the tech, giving us the tools to master not just the game, but the craft of play itself. And of course, the quick bites crossroom mill kept us plugged into storylines unfolding across the gaming world, keeping us in touch with what's happening out there. But the real message of the night came with the final boss. Once again, you've trained. I gotta make a shirt. You've trained, you've leveled up. Now you're going to be facing the final boss, because that tutorial is over. And as you go into your week, remember, life doesn't keep you in the starting zone forever. When the game stops holding your hand, it's not to overwhelm you. It's because you are ready. Now, for myself, Nick, and Ace, thanks for spending your evening leveling up with us. We'll see you next Tuesday at 8 p.m. for class 54. Y'all have a good night and take it easy.
Class dismissed.